So you must be the courier the reports mentioned. This battle... If that's true, then there's nothing... And go where? According to you, the road west is blocked. Perhaps I do have a secret tunnel out of here, but that does... My men and I are soldiers. You're right. Don't expect to hold...
Judging by the lack of blood, I take it the coward Oliver. The rest of the dam is fully under our control. A few pitiful... With their commander gone, the NCR, the Legion will swell with the number of slaves who will... Perhaps in time I will be granted the... Know that your efforts are appreciated and will... For now, come. We must...
And so the courier who had cheated death in the cemetery outside Good Springs cheated death once again, and the Mojave wasteland was forever changed. Caesar entered the Strip as though it was his triumph. The Legion pushed the NCR out of New Vegas entirely, driving them back to the Mojave outpost. The Legion occupied all major locations, enslaving much of the population and peacefully lording over the rest. Under the Legion's banner, civilization, unforgiving as it was, finally came to the Mojave wasteland. Though the courier himself was just and forthright in his dealings throughout the wasteland, he helped the Legion achieve victory. Caesar honored him with a golden coin, minted in celebration of his contributions and distributed throughout the wasteland.
Tabitha and Rhonda went east, through Caesar's land. Occasionally, tales of their exploits found their way back west, though few believed them. Eventually, the stories concerning the duo were collected and published, and proved to be quite popular with children.
Still grappling with self-doubt over his usefulness in the face of old age, Raoul was never able to find peace with himself. Eventually, he left the Mojave and assumed a new name, as he had done so many times before.
Cautious after the Boomers' display of power at Hoover Dam, Caesar chose to leave the Boomers alone. The Boomers remained isolated, but have been seen flying over the Mojave Desert from time to time.
Buried beneath tons of rubble, the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel was no more. Those few who were outside the Hidden Valley bunker when it was destroyed settled into new lives, or headed west to find a new chapter to join.
Though she'd seen the writing on the wall, the destruction of the Mojave Brotherhood came far more suddenly than Veronica had expected. The news devastated her. Despite her best efforts to leave her past behind, she found herself compelled to make one final journey to Hidden Valley. There, she paid her last respects to the only family she had ever known.
Their leaders destroyed by the courier, the fiends scattered throughout the wasteland. Without the organization of Motor Runner, Cook, Violet, and driver Nephi, they were easy prey.
After the Legion's victory, Caesar, out of a strange respect for his old fellows, allowed the followers safe passage out of the wasteland. Reluctantly, the followers accepted the offer and abandoned Old Mormon Fort to the Legion.
Though Arcade's intentions were pure and his goals were noble, he ultimately succumbed to the harsh brutality of the Mojave, like so many before him.
The Legion, preoccupied with its acquisition of New Vegas, scarcely took notice of the town of Good Springs. Many locals moved on, fearful of Caesar's long shadow. Only the old and the stubborn remained.
The slaughter of the Van Graffs and the Crimson Caravan caused no end of trouble for NCR back west. Already struggling, NCR's supply lines suffered further as the two caravans withdrew support until the massacre in the east was resolved. Cass lived to see the mark of the Legion on Hoover Dam. Uncertain of what lay next for the west, she remained silent. As the Legion marched west, she found it difficult to see the dam as anything more than a gravestone for the Mojave. and everyone in it.
After their suicidal last stand at Hoover Dam, the Great Khan ceased to exist as a tribe. The few surviving members dispersed, joining up with other tribes and gangs across the Mojave, and quickly forgot their heritage.
Thanks to the courier and Lily, a cure for the Nightkin's schizophrenia was found shortly after Dr. Henry's experiment concluded. Nightkin and other super mutants in the wasteland flocked to Jacobstown, and the town became known as a haven where a mutant could find peace.
Lily's long life finally came to a close in the Mojave wasteland. As the life faded from her, her last thoughts were of her grandchildren.
After their victory at Hoover Dam, Legion troops rolled through Freeside. The Kings tried to fight back, but most were killed, and the rest fled into the wasteland.
After Ray's brain was transplanted into Rex's cybernetic body, it took Rex some time to adjust to the old scrapyard dog's memories. Eventually, Rex's mind settled peacefully, melding his own memories with that of long travels with Old Lady Gibson.
Though Camp Golf fell to Caesar, the Misfits distinguished themselves during the Legion's attack. Mags and her soldiers were posthumously recognized for their valor by NCR.
While the destruction of the Repcon rockets appeared to be a boon to the salvagers of Novak, the benefit would never be realized. Radioactive fuel from the wrecked ships seeped out and contaminated the area. Salvagers were forced to move on, and the town was abandoned.
Tired of waiting for the world to be done with him, Boone ventured into the wastes to make his own way out. Unable to clear his mind of the past, he was at last granted the death he'd awaited, bringing final rest to a life that had ended long ago.
After Hoover Dam, the leaderless powder gangers at the correctional facility vanished into the wastes, leaving the prison empty. The correctional facility became another abandoned ruin in the wasteland, its carcass occasionally picked over by enterprising prospectors.
Armed with a wide array of improvised explosives and stolen weapons, the Vault 19 powder gang tormented the Mojave wasteland for years. Citizens of the NCR were favorite targets, and they always suffered the worst fates.
Hot-headed to the end, Sheriff Myers chooses to oppose Caesar's takeover of Primm with a standoff. Though the citizens take out a few legionaries, the town quickly falls to Caesar, its citizens utterly wiped out.
And so the Courier's Road came to an end, for now. In the new world of the Mojave Wasteland, fighting continued, blood was spilled, and many lived and died just as they had in the old world. Because war never changes.